What's up, you guys? This is Zay Brooks, and this is episode 30 to a show I do not know the title to yet. Today, what I wanted to talk about is self-discipline, even when things are going good for you. This kind of had me reflect on my own intentions and desires on myself and my own self-discipline in my life. So I'm honestly being pretty transparent here with what's going on in my life, and I hope that I can create thought-provoking concepts and things that you can resonate with in your own life about how to deal with self-discipline. So let's just rip the Band-Aid right off. This time last year, I was living in Texas, and my body was at a premier level. Fine, I'll put a picture up. And this is just for the sake of education and trying to understand where I'm coming from. This was my body this time around last year. I'm about to turn 28 years old next week, or in 2 weeks, and I just know that I really took care of my body and my diet and my exercise. And around this time this year, here's a picture of me. Obviously, I'm not overweight or obese or anything like that, but I know that I'm not in the position that I once was. Although there are a lot of other things that are going on in my life that are great, that I'm so thankful for. My career, my friends, my family. Self-discipline doesn't have any excuses, and I need to show you that it's not like I dropped off completely and gained 60 pounds. It's self-discipline still comes into play even when you're just in the ballpark of where you once were, I think self-discipline is what turns people from like good players to great players, right? Or good businessmen to great businessmen, or, good people to great people. And I really want you to understand my position is not a bad one, right? But I will say I'm comfortable, and I've realized that about myself. And self-discipline, there's so many different forms to express that in different versions of your life. Me as a basketball player, me as a weightlifter, me as a businessman, me as a friend, a brother, a son, an uncle. Like, there are different forms of self-discipline that takes place every day. And that's why I think self-discipline is so hard, because it's seen in so many different variants in your life. It's like when you choose to have self-discipline in one area, it's like, how do I pay attention to this area and then this area? I can see how difficult that could be. But again, I think self-discipline has zero excuses. The people with the greatest self-discipline, they create ways to put themselves in better positions for success, or they're really honest with themselves that where in their life they need more self-discipline, more accountability. So this is a testament to my life. I feel like I am in check with a lot of things in my life, but my body and my diet and my exercise, I still do exercise, I still do lift weights, I still do all these things, but it's not as to the level that I know it could be. And so that's kind of what I want to talk about. So the first thing I want to say, and it's not an excuse, the amount of traveling that I do this time of year versus last year, I was just in my house in Texas, going to the gym, coming home, making content. Now I travel a lot for my job, for my content strategy with the company that I work with. And I just want to get that out there, because just because you have self-discipline doesn't exclude you from having grace towards yourself and the perception of mind to know the difference between what my life was a year ago when I looked the way I did versus now. I think that's something to acknowledge, and with that, I can understand how to move. Insanity is trying to do the same thing over and over again and expecting the same result. I know my conditions are different. I know where I live and what I do, and my day-to-day is drastically different than what I did this time last year. But again, that's something that you can only begin to understand, but not use as an excuse or play victim towards, because I travel this much, because my job is this demanding and I work 12-hour days filming all day, that excludes me from, being in shape and holding myself to a higher level of self-discipline. That's what I really am trying to harp on today, is just because you're in the ballpark of it, you're comfortable with the uncomfortability of some parts of your life, so you take time off on other areas. No, I think putting on different hats every day is the hardest part when practicing self-discipline time and time again. And this is to you. You may feel like in one area, like at school or, with your boyfriend or girlfriend, like you're taking care of yourself. I'm on top of my stuff. I got straight A's, and, I'm in a great relationship with my partner. But it's like, got to come back to a sense of self. Like, how does my body look? How is my mind? How are my finances? How is my relationship with my mother? How's my relationship with my brothers or sisters? Things like that. it's very hard to lack perception and you stay so narrow-minded when you feel as though you're doing a good job on certain things but not in other areas. That's why to have a complete person, you have to wear different hats throughout the day. Easier said than done, but with all those hats comes a level of self-discipline in those things, That's like if you're watering all these plants, and you only water this plant and this plant, like those plants are going to die, You have to be able to take care of every single plant. And then you ask yourself, well, Zay, if I only have 100 milliliters of water, I can only divide 20 milliliters per plant. I would disagree. I think you have an infinite amount of water, an infinite amount of energy based on things like time management, accountability, positive self-talk that allows you to have more water to water all these 5, 10, whatever different plants. And sometimes you might have too many plants. I know I'm running with this analogy, but sometimes you might have too many plants. There might be too many things that you're trying to do. You might have too many priorities. And so I understand in my life, my priority first is my relationship with myself, which is ultimately a relationship with God because I am made in the image of God. So it's about how that coincides. And then naturally it is my relationship with, nature and me being outside in reality and being a positive influence to this reality, this ether. Am I walking around spreading light, love, and positivity, or am I walking around spreading the negative stuff? The second thing that I priority-wise is making sure I'm good with my family and just the gratitude that I have that my family is healthy, my friends are healthy, my people are healthy, and I'm being an advocate, I'm being a resource to them for whatever they need. And then that includes, and I say that all my friends and my family, you know who you are. And then after that, I think it comes down to my career. And so when you talk about my career, I think the more that you look in shape, the more that your body looks prepared for an opportunity, it's as though an opportunity comes your way. It's like as you work on yourself, naturally things and opportunities in your life come towards you with so much abundance because I feel like what's going on outside of you and your outside reality is a reflection of what's going on inside. The law of attraction states that as what you're thinking about and feeling, it shows in the mirror of life in front of you and the reality that you live in. I want to leave it at that. So those are my main priorities, honestly, and those are probably the only ones that I have. Obviously, I can have other ones that I think about, like wanting to dress nice and playing poker or going to play basketball. But my career, it coincides a lot of things because how I look, how I feel, all the energy I have, any opportunity. Like I think of myself as being a creative. I could be a model. I could be. I could own a clothing brand. I could own a drink brand. I could do anything, and so I have to prepare my mind, body, and soul for anything having to do with my career, being an entrepreneur. So getting away from what I was talking about at the very beginning, now I want to come back to it. Now I realize, man, my body is not in the shape that it once was. So now what do I do? Well, like I said, recognize where I am, the differences between my life now and a year ago, and what that meant for that time, and the things that I have to do now. So I asked myself, a lot of my time is spent strategizing, thinking, contemplating, executing, editing, posting, all this. I don't have as much time as I did before. That is not an excuse as to why I can't. It's just an acknowledgement of, man, I really don't have as much time, so what do I need to do? Raise my awareness and perception on my time management. So now, I'm eating a lot smarter, and I'm preparing the certain foods that I want to eat. And with, the help of some people, because it takes a village, I'm getting the meals that I need and the nutrition that I need. And even having mentors in the space of knowing, okay, this guy, my boy in Texas, he has very good self-discipline when it comes to his body and his his weight and his diet. That's somebody that I lean on, And then after that, I'm going on runs every morning now. And I'm just letting you guys know this now. This isn't something where, now I've changed and here I am to show you no, I'm actually in the process. The biggest part of the show, I don't want to act like I've already made it and then tell you how to get there. I kind of want to show you step by step what the life is like for an entrepreneur who really hasn't made it yet and still wants to show you the things that I go through, my successes, my failures. I think that's super important, not just to hear from no disrespect to a guy like Grant Cardone, but it's like he's already made it, Andrew Tate, like he's already made it in a sense. It's like if people listen to those, I don't know if you listen to them, but, those are just two entrepreneurs I thought of. But anyways, back to what I was saying. I am now spending time focusing on time management, figuring out little pockets of time that I can go spend to better myself. And a lot of the times with my body, just being honest, it's not necessarily how much you do. It's how often you do it and the diet that comes with it. I see a lot of people, they'll be in the gym, and I'm thinking like, man, I hope that you're going home. I'm not trying to say I'm better than them. It's just the thoughts that I have. I hope that you're not going home and just eating whatever it is that you want, thinking that you bought your dinner. Like, that's just not how it works. You have to put yourself in some sort of caloric deficit, high protein diet, and minimize the amount of carbs that you're using, especially if you're not like a runner or you're not expanding calories all the time. You're not walking for a job. These are things that you have to keep in mind, is that your diet is far more important than the exercise. You could spend, if you had a pie and you wanted to spend time on your body, it would probably be about 70-30, in my opinion. From 70, really cleaning up your diet, getting rid of refined sugars and incessant snacking and the carbohydrate overload, and then spending time, every day going on a walk or going on a run or going to lift weights or get an at-home gym, get you 2 dumbbells. Like, I've dealt with a lot less, especially during COVID when you couldn't get to a gym. I had 2 25-pound dumbbells, one 40-pound dumbbell and 2 25-pound dumbbells, and I got excellent workouts. There's no excuse to what needs to be done for who it is that you need to be. And what's crazy, and this is something I really wanted to mention, I'm glad I thought of this, my self-discipline towards my body doesn't affect anybody else except me. And I think that's a lot of issues. That's an issue for a lot of people, because me being self-disciplined or not doesn't affect other people. Oh, wow. Let me just kind of fuck it off or not really think about it too much because I'm not influencing other people. But at the end of the day, the most important relationship should be with yourself. And that's hard for a lot of people to grasp because they want to be selfless and give their time to other people. But as above, so below, as within, so without. The amount of energy and time that I give to myself is reflected in my reality. A lot of my relationships, things that I want to happen, things in my career, opportunities will all come to fruition, will all live in abundance if I choose to focus on myself first. So that self-discipline that you feel, it only affects me, so it leaves my mind, but if I'm doing something with somebody else, like a group project or, a date with my partner or, an outing with my mother, cleaning up this stuff from my father, it's like, I think it's ass backwards, in my opinion. I think you should be far more focused in prioritizing things that have to do with yourself before you can open up and help other people at the expense of you not having that self-accountability, that self-discipline towards yourself, So that's something else that I needed to realize too is, I'm making sure that I'm not jeopardizing my health over things that aren't as important as like my career or my family or my relationship with God. And I hope this is all making sense. I know I'm kind of jumbling things at you, but, self-discipline is something that takes perception and takes accountability and takes persistence. So it's a lot of things combined. And like I said, you have to water multiple plants with the same thought process that I'm thinking of. That's why self-discipline is so hard. That's why accountability is so difficult. That's why only very few people have the body they want, have the career they want, have the partner they want, have the life they want. You know how hard it is? Seriously. You know how hard it is to get all those things that you want? Like, that's not easy. It takes it takes a good amount of self-discipline. So back to my body. Diet, exercise, lifting weights, and then the last part of it really is the consistency. People want to work out for a week or 2 weeks and they don't necessarily see the results that they want. They walk by sight and not by faith, and they don't walk with intention. They only walk with a transactional thing. Oh, I thought I was only supposed to work out for 2 weeks and I get this body. Now they end up quitting and not going the distance for what it is that what they want. If something was that easy, everybody would be walking around with a fire body. Everybody would be walking around like they're the man. And that's not the case, because again, in order to reach that level of body type or whatever it is that you want, it takes a good amount of self-discipline. So, and persistence is the part that I'm pertaining to right now. Every single day you need to be doing something about your diet, about your body, about your exercise. Yeah, you can take days off, but it's not something like, oh, I took a day off on Tuesday and now I take another day off on Friday. Like, in my humble opinion, if you are going to take a day off, it would be once a week. And that's a reminder to myself. But I don't even really like doing once a week. I'd rather go on a walk with my girlfriend or, go play basketball or, I don't know, like go on a quick 2-mile run. Like, I don't know. We have 24 hours in a day, 400 seconds in a day, and it only takes 15 minutes to run. It only takes 15 minutes to read a book. It only takes 15 minutes to call your mom, call your grandma, hit some push-ups. Like, for as much time as we think we don't have, I think it's just excuses which have nothing to do with self-discipline. So that consistency aspect for me I know is huge. And for me traveling a lot, it takes even more self-discipline because, I'm not in my natural element. I don't have no sense of routine, but that's not an excuse. That's just something to acknowledge. So when I'm on the road, I need to make sure that I'm eating the right things, not overloading on carbs, not snacking incessantly, because for me, when I travel a lot, I do enjoy my time. I love my job. I'm spending all these hours talking to people that are passionate about trivia, or I'm doing other content like this, where it's beautiful outside. It's man, what would go nice with this? A beer. What would go nice with this? Some chips or some fries or, whatever snack. I think you need to be very conscious about what it is that you're putting into your body, specifically about my diet to myself. I'm now eating a lot of foods that aren't carbohydrate, primary. It's a lot of vegetables and a lot of fruit and, edamame, apples, protein shakes, smoothies, seaweed chips, certain stuff that, if I do want to snack, I need to be able to put myself in a positive position, in an advantageous position, and give snacks available to me that if I do feel like snacking, feeling like that crunch sensation, feeling like that soda sensation, you can go grab things that are available to you, like sparkling water, things that can help mitigate you from reaching into temptation of not being in self-discipline. You know what I mean? It takes that level of perception to put your future self in the right position time and time again. And if your body is right and you are listening to me and you're like, okay, I already have that stuff, then try to take what I'm saying to other parts of your life, other aspects of your existence. You can find so many things in your career or partner or lover or friend or whatever. There's so many different places for you to think about, man, where in my life am I not watering this plant? Am I not even paying attention to this plant? Or even worse, I recognize my self-discipline is not there and I choose to ignore it. It's like me not training, a certain part of my body and then just ignoring it. It's like sooner or later, the amount of gap in growth for my life as a content creator versus my life as my body, you'll start to see a disconnect. And yeah, that doesn't affect anybody else, but it really does affect myself, which then in turn affects other people, because as within, so without, as above, so below. So I'm actually in relationship with my reality when I'm not taking care of myself, but I don't realize it until it's too late or something blows up in my face, like somebody calls me fat or somebody says, yo, you've gained a couple pounds, and now I'm bothered, and then now I act like that towards somebody else, and now my life is full of regret. You see how it all stems from your lack of accountability, your lack of self-discipline towards yourself. I'd like to make this claim, and I don't want to hurt people's feelings. Everything in your life, almost everything in your life, is your fault. The opportunities that you're in, the people that you meet, the things that you allow to happen to you throughout your day. Obviously, there are some crazy things that happen that you can't control. Okay, I get it. I get it for the victims out there that are saying, oh, but what about... In the grand scheme of things that take place in your life are mainly your fault. Either you allowed that person, you allowed that experience to happen to you again, you allowed this person to keep hanging out with you, you allowed yourself to not have the self-discipline to go to the gym, the manifestations that the things that are going on in your life right now, you manifested years ago, whether you like it or not. It's one of my favorite sayings that came from this guru. The things that are going on in your life, you manifested years ago. You have the power. You are the co-creator of your reality with God to change anything that you see fit. You are the CEO of your own life. We have our soul, our being has the ability to change reality as we know it. But a lot of the times we think we need to change what's going on the outside, but the self-discipline starts with the mastery of self. I have a group chat with my boys, and I had told them, I just felt like saying this on a random morning, that, when you choose yourself first, a lot of other things end up coming to fruition and live in abundance when you choose to focus on yourself, your relationships, the opportunities, the love, the life that's spread towards other people through yourself as a vessel by glorifying God's gifts that He's given to you. The ability to walk, the ability to exercise, the ability to have your body in a pristine condition and communicate clearly, and really just take care of yourself. The amount of things that you help, the people that you help, the things that you give, the inspiration that you give, it shows up so much more when you choose to, against not focusing on yourself and feeling like you need to change the world outside. That's why if everybody, think about this, it's a crazy concept, but if everybody took the time to really change themselves and be the best versions of themselves, deal with their trauma, deal with their inner work, and really take care of their body and spread life, love, and positivity to the world, there'd be no more war. There'd be no more famine. There'd be no more conflict. If everybody chose to take care of themselves, have self-discipline with themselves, the world would be perfect, So, self-discipline is an ethereal spiritual concept if you think about it, because it takes so much self-discipline to be who you always wanted to be. And you don't have to do it by yourself. There are other people who are also in search of truth, in search of that, self-confidence of self-discipline. You don't have to do it all by yourself. You could find friends, you could find groups, you can create a group chat, you can create all types of things, a Discord group of people that want to hold themselves accountable. And, if you feel like taking that day off, or if you feel like, you want to eat that cookie, or, not work as hard this day, or not work on your business this day, like, I promise you, having a group chat of people that are all committed to some sort of same idea of being the best versions of themselves, those are the people that will hold you accountable. It's like a run club, but for your life. When you run by yourself, it's a lot harder when you run with other people, because some people will hit their second stride when you're not, and you have to keep up with them. But then sometimes they won't hit their stride, but you will, and then they keep up with you. That's the whole point of a run club. That's naturally why a lot of people's times get faster, is because that community aspect. If I'm in my life and I don't have the self-discipline or the accountability I want, it's okay to lean on other people and say, hey guys, I honestly thought about eating this messed up food, or I honestly watched this video that I shouldn't be watching, where you know what I'm talking about. Or my business, I'm not really on top of it, or, I don't feel like going to the gym today. Those are people that you can lean on. I think that's super important, to find a community of people that also thrive in self-discipline. And, this might be a little bit of tangent, but one thing I've realized in my life, being as old as I am, I think it's super important to have the right people around you. They always say, whatever your 4 closest friends are, you're the 5th, whether you like it or not. And it's like, in my own head, okay, am I truly spending time around people that I feel are reaching the same goals and aspirations that I am? And the answer to that question is yes. I'm very thankful for the people that are around me, but that's something that I always need to check myself on, even if it's for like a day's time. And that's not to mean to be shallow towards like friends that aren't in the same mental thought process as me, but it's something to definitely think about. It's like, man, I'm spending this much time with you. Do your goals align with mine? No? Okay, well then maybe I spend time with you as if I'm on a break, a break with myself, Like I said, if you're, worrying about your body, it's like you have, Sundays are your rest days. It's like, okay, well, I'm worrying about my business, or I'm worrying about being an entrepreneur, on my Saturday or my Sunday. Like, I can go spend time with people that, aren't necessarily aligning with me, but I still want to spend time with them. Your priorities are far different. Where do your priorities lie? Are you spending time pouring into things that don't have no return on investment? And I don't mean to sound transactional, but these are things that you should think about, because if you end up pouring too much into something that doesn't really give you a return, or hold you accountable, or give you inspiration, or give you a sense of self-discipline or accountability, it's like, what does that really do for you, And that all coincides with self-discipline, is choosing the right people around you to influence you positively, to be the best versions of yourself, and then have that self-discipline. So it's like you're self-disciplining the environment for self-discipline. You see what I mean? It's crazy. You can choose self-discipline at all times. So that's pretty crazy that I'm honestly going over this with you guys. And like I said, I want to give you thought-provoking concepts and things to resonate with. I try my best to just come up with the stuff off the dome. So I end up talking through things a lot of the times with you guys, and I don't have all the answers. But what I will say is I'm a resource here for you guys. I have an email in the bio. I have, the comments. Like, if you guys ever want to reach out and talk to me, man, like, here I am. I want to be a place, especially for the youth, if they have no one to turn to, and there's things that they want to talk about with their career, or going to college, or their diet, or their life, or their decision making. I've always thought at some point in my life I was going to be like a life coach, but that just sounds so like derogatory, and it's like you don't get a degree in life coaching. So I don't know. I just want to be a resource to you guys. I want this community to be a place where people can come in and express their feelings and their woes or stories or whatever, and we just create a forum of people that are together as a community that love to talk and spread light and love and live without any limitations. Everybody has their chief definite aim, burning desire, and unwavering faith. And if not, they have a mentor in the space, or somebody in the space that can talk to them and help them grow in their own journey. What I want to do now is do a guided meditation. So if you can find somewhere on the ground, somewhere on your bed, say crisscross applesauce. And what I want you to do is we're going to start off with 3 deep breaths. So in and out. Oh yeah, we're going to do this 2 more times. Oh, that feels good. In and out. One more time. In and out. Okay. Now, keep your eyes closed. What I want you to do is think about all the different hats that you wear in your life. With your friends, your family, your career. Think about all the different hats that you wear. An example would be a son, or an employee, or partner, your relationship with yourself, your relationship with God. And you're probably guessing it. I want you to try to figure out certain areas of your life, certain plants, that you aren't watering. I'll give you 30 seconds to a minute to really harp and have the self-discipline to ask yourself, where am I not pouring into myself? What aspects of my life am I neglecting? These are conversations that I want you guys to have on your own and have that self-reflection, that self-awareness, to be able to live the life that you want to live, be the best versions of yourself. Because once that happens, the amount of abundance and opportunities and love that flows in your reality is exponential. But it takes a lot to have self-discipline in all these avenues, all these different hats that you wear, all these different plants that you got to water. I want you to think about the highest versions of yourself right now and ask yourself, what's the difference between that person that I'm thinking about and the person that you are right now? It's a real question you need to have with yourself constantly. Why is that the case? And don't say, oh, money. Don't say, oh, opportunity. No, that's not how it works. About the actual person. What's the difference between the highest versions of yourself and you right now? Some of you, it's easy to say, my body, my diet, I don't like my job, I don't enjoy this, I'm not the best partner, I smoke too much weed, I drink too much, nicotine, I watch videos I'm not supposed to be watching. You can open your eyes now. Appreciate you guys, man. I'm so thankful for this because no matter what happens in my life, I'll be able to look back at these and even motivate and inspire myself. So this is something that I just love doing, and it's like a self-diary. It's like, man, when I have 100 of these, I get to look back and be like, you know what? I did this, and I built a community by literally sitting down, turning on the camera, and talking about whatever I want to talk about. My anecdotal experience on reality, things and thought-provoking concepts that you can resonate with in your own life. That's so, it's a testament, bro. If you're one of the people, right, one of the earlier people that are watching this, I'm telling you, anything and everything is possible. You can be whoever it is that you want to be. All you need to do is just start. Chief definite aim, burning desire, and wavering faith. The physical equivalent will be inevitable. Watch all my videos. I explain a lot of it perfectly in the life that I'm trying to live, bro. It's beautiful.